Hey, were you in my class in high school? Eric, she seemed like she might have been in my class, and I ran into her when I got to the hotel. Eric, hold on a moment. Are you merely a recent high school graduate? Even so, could you help your wife with that? Are you certain you're up? She mocked me as a potential customer and appeared unaware of my current predicament. Since I was pressed for time, all I really wanted was for her to carry out her duties. The upper class frequents this hotel, which is a prestigious, affluent establishment. It isn't really, where recent high school graduates like you belong. Grad or not, it makes no difference. This hotel is where we have business. Furthermore, you are not in charge of selecting your guests. Yes, it is. We do turn away low-class high school graduates. It may be an investment of a lifetime for you. Is that the manager's policy? My wife finally spoke up after being silent up until that point. I had been laughed at, but she appeared much more indignant. Yes, it's the manager's policy to refuse service to anyone less than a high school graduate. She smiled as she spoke, little realizing that this would be the beginning of the end for her. Please call the manager to the owner's suite right now. She became pale at that point. Eric is who I am. I married Katie a few years ago, and we find ourselves in a bit of a bind at the moment. Just the two of us are lost. We traveled to this area for work, but since it was our first visit, we wound up getting lost. This is troubling. You don't seem overly concerned, but we are in a tight spot. We won't arrive on time if we continue like this. It was our intention to go there immediately upon departing the station. Our destination is a well-known, venerable, upmarket hotel in the neighborhood. We won't arrive at our appointment in time at this rate. It's strange, as my wife stated. Why are we unable to locate it? My spouse is feverishly looking up locations on her phone and scanning through the map. There don't seem to be any taxis here, despite my own search. Maybe I could use an app to hail a cab, if I could locate a landmark. As soon as I realized it, I pulled out my phone. I understand now. The map was inverted. My wife said we were going in the wrong direction. All right. We can never get there if we choose the incorrect route. Whoa, were we both viewing the map inverted? Were we never this poor at following instructions? I've got no excuse. We assumed we could find it simply because we had been told it was only a 10-minute walk from a big station. We appear to be less adept at directions than we initially believed. We grinned wryly at each other. Let's head back to the station. Yeah, we'd better take a taxi this time so we don't get lost again. Sounds good. We walked back after grinning miserably. Eric, let's play. Katie, what do you want to do? Beside our current residence, Katie and I were childhood pals. Morning, Eric. Good morning, Katie. Do you want to stop at the variety store on the way back from school? Let's head there. Yes, this month is also your birthday. I might get you something. That's sweet, but I was planning to get you a birthday present too. Then let's both buy gifts. Yay. It's accurate, you too. Detours are okay, but please exercise caution. Sure thing. Got it. We even had the same birth month and were the same age. We played together, went shopping together, and attended school together. Since the day we were born, our grandparents and parents have been close friends as well. Katie, welcome back. I'm home. Eric. Mom, I'm back. Both of you had some snacks at home today, okay. We went to each other's places on a regular basis. Dave, let's play. Yes. How ought we to proceed? Tag? Come on, let me play too. As if they were our own parents, we would play with each other's dads and eat snacks made by each other's mothers. Happy New Year, Ronald. Marie. Indeed. Cheers to a good New Year. Eric, here's a gift for you two this New Year. Congrats. Together, let's head to the church service for the new year. Sure, let's do that. Yay, that sounds good. Obviously, our grandparents were included in this. We addressed the members of each other's families by their first names. Katie, you're really absent-minded. Eric, you're pretty laid back too. Yes, you're correct. Let's have these together later. I located Katie's favorite candies at the convenience store and bought them. Are you serious? What time did you leave? Do you recall that on the way, I stopped at the convenience store? Oh, that time I got a drink from a vending machine that I thought you might enjoy. Then let's have it with the sweets. We considered one another to be our closest, most compassionate friends, and I couldn't fathom my existence without Katie. There's a chemistry between Eric and Katie. Do you agree with that? I'm not certain. I'm not sure, honestly. You're correct. You two seem like a great match, though maybe that's just because you're together all the time. I can't possibly imagine the two of you apart. People often remarked that we had the same aura despite our similar upbringings. We'd always been naturally close, even as young children. Living in separate homes was akin to having an extended family. I could only see her standing next to me for that reason. Hey Katie, how are you? Though it may come as a surprise, I can only envision myself with you. Will you accompany me out then? Are you serious? Naturally, I will. I'm happy that few. Though I was still anxious, I assumed you would. It's true that you sounded uneasy, which is unusual for you. Therefore, I suppose it was only logical for us to consider getting married when the time was perfect. Yes, Katie, I want to spend my entire life with you. Will you then marry me? Hey, you're trembling in your voice again. Naturally, I will. It's true that I felt anxious during the proposal and confession, but that's just the way it's always been. Katie and I hadn't been together since we were infants. I owe Katie a great deal for continuing to be a strong supporter of my work even now. After that, we got a taxi back to the station. The cab driver laughed heartily when I hurriedly explained our position. We eventually reached the classic luxury hotel, which was our target. Oh, Eric, that's not good. There are just 10 minutes remaining. Yikes, let's hurry to the check-in. Yes, let's do that. We dashed to the front desk. My name is Eric. I apologize for being so impromptu. Can you help us out quickly? Eric? Are you the Eric that I knew in high school? Her voice caught my attention as I looked up. This is Marissa. We attended the same secondary school. She was a classmate, it seems. Her name tag and clothing suggested that she was employed by the hotel. Ah, Marissa. Yes, I seem to recall you from our time in school. Long time not seen. Is this Katie then? Do the two of you still get along? Do you consider yourself married or something? That is astonishing, really. She seems to be aware of Katie as well. That would make sense if she had been a fellow student in high school. But everyone in the foyer turned to watch Marissa laugh uncontrollably. We both scowled, uncomfortable beyond belief. It's not appropriate to laugh so hard over it. Please just do your job. Come on, a little laugh is fine. It's not acceptable. Here, we seem to be in a rush. She didn't appear eager to continue with the check-in. Marissa gave her eyes a playful narrowing. Erica, are you really only a recent high school graduate? Are you truly able to stand by your wife in that? Are you certain you're all right? Hey, that's rude. It's fine, Kitty. Katie tried to oppose Marissa's mocking tone, but I stopped her. It's impossible to dispute, is it? What are recent high school graduates? Janitors at best. Oh. Maybe building laborers, perhaps. Either way, nasty and dirty, Marissa yelled as she carried on her tirade. The upper class frequents this hotel, which is a prestigious and luxurious establishment. It isn't really where recent high school graduates like you belong. Gior or not, It makes no difference. This hotel is where we have business. Furthermore, you are not in charge of selecting your guests. Yes, it is. We do turn away low-class high school graduates. It may be an investment of a lifetime for you. Marissa continued to sneer and try to push us away, ignoring anything I said. Is that the manager's policy? Katie, who had asked not to speak, finally piped up at that time. Yes, the management has the policy of not serving anyone who is not a high school graduate. Marissa mockingly answered her cool-headed question. Please go. I was familiar with Katie. I watched her activity silently. Marissa continued to smirk. Well, if you grovel and agree to do as I say from now on, maybe I won't turn you away. Hey, why are you laughing now? Are you crazy now? Oh no, Katie started laughing, so I automatically put my palm to my forehead. Marissa gave us a perplexed expression. Haha, really? You say the funniest things. When Katie is upset, she frequently bursts out laughing. What are you trying to say? It is verifiable. Reality. All right, I'll make sure you know what you did. Marissa blurted out in fear as Katie abruptly stopped laughing and became serious. Next, Katie spoke a chilly "Oh, hello. It's Katie here." Disregarding Marissa's runaway, Katie pulled out her phone and dialed someone. Kindly request that the management visit the owner's suite immediately. I will also quickly be there. Domestic. Supervisor. The suite of the owner. Marissa cast a bewildered glance at Katie. I suppose I should introduce myself sooner. This hotel is owned by me, Katie. It's good to meet you. Katie gave Marissa a lovely smile. In actuality, Katie's family is wealthy and possesses a large number of real estate properties. Katie remained involved in her family's business even after we were married. In due course, Katie acquired multiple hotel properties. Eric, the hotel we're going to is this one, right? Yes, that's right. Excellent, excellent. This is the other motel that my father recently gave me the keys to as its owner. This is an ideal time to do an inspection. My work initially required us to visit, but we also intended to perform a surprise inspection. The owner's suite was then shown to us. I'm terribly sorry for what happened. Several suit-clad men and Marissa were apologizing in the owner's suite. I've heard of Marissa's impolite actions. I apologize sincerely. Ted, the manager, was one of them. Ted, is it true that your policy is to refuse guests who are high school graduates or less? Achieved it. How precisely were you going to verify that? Katie asked Ted a pointed question. What? That is not possible. Who made such a statement? That is absolutely not my objective. Ted ran away, obviously shocked. Standing next to him, Marissa cast a pallid glance down. Are you letting the front desk staff decide who gets to stay? No, that's absolutely not the case. But that's exactly what she said. You are aware that our guests interact with us at the front desk. First, don't you? Obviously, I get it. However, you don't seem to get that the hotel will look bad if this is how her staff acts. It is your duty as manager to select and develop employees who won't make our visitors uncomfortable. What are your thoughts about that? As a hotel staff member, I apologize. With a pallid face, Ted was the focus of Katie's lesson. Ted seems to be stuck with his constant apology routine. That's enough, Katie. I chided myself in the end after attempting to calm her down. Stay out of this. Ted seemed to notice me at last when I made an interjection. He gave me a surprised look when he saw me. Oh, you are? Aren't you Mr. Wilson? He came running over to me. Marissa looked up at this, as she had been looking down. The press conference is about to start. That reminder reminded us of the purpose of our visit to this hotel. A shoot. With a quick peek at my watch, I whispered, shoot. I was engrossed in Katie's rage to the point where I forgot I was meant to be at this hotel for a press conference. I play chess professionally. After turning pro in high school, I've been winning since, and now I was going to go up against the title of master. We had the press conference today. Tomorrow is when the bouts begin. Oh no, I wonder what the press will write if Mr. Wilson is unable to attend the press conference due to the hotel situation. Ted and the others began to lose our minds. We have to move quickly and escort him to the venue immediately. Our conversation isn't over yet. Eric is escorted to the location by just one person. Shall the rest of you and I had a lovely, lengthy conversation. Katie smiled, alarmingly gorgeous, as she said this. Yes, you there, please show the way. Yes, ma'am. The selected staff member led me out of the owner's suite. With cheers in my heart, I made my way to the location, saying, "Hang in there, staff member." I eventually made it to the location. My tour guide came back, her eyes welling up with tears. I watched him leave and went into the arena where Master Smith, my opponent for this bout, was already giving me the cold shoulder. The master title belongs to Master Smith, a well-known player in the chess community. In addition, he serves as my mentor and my role model. I was excited to put him to the test once more. The scowling Master Smith instantly softened his demeanor. He laughed and remarked, "Eric, late again," to which I replied with a smile. My wife and I were gazing at the map upside down. He made a joke, "Ha, you two are as clueless as ever." I rubbed my head, embarrassed by my mentor's laughter. Master Smith had previously taught Katie chess as well, but Katie gave up, stating, "It's not fun, because I always lose to Eric." "Are you Eric?" "Yes, that's me." "I know Pete rather well. Go ahead and give chess a shot." "Yeah, I'll give it a shot." Master Smith first became my tutor because of his previous relationship with Pete. You two still have a great relationship. What a wonderful mentor-mentee relationship, really. Isn't this match between a mentor and prodigy what has the chess world watching? It will be wonderful to see the collision of like ideas. It was widely known that Master Smith and I were mentor and protege. The press conference moved along at a leisurely pace. Thankfully, it concluded satisfactorily. Phew, glad that's over. You're still so laid back, aren't you? Is that so? Master Smith stated this as he observed me. He groaned and said, "But when it comes to the match, you transform into someone else." I'm not really sure how I comprehend it. Is Katie the same as well? I laughed and Master Smith said, seeming a little annoyed. In fact, Katie turns into a rigid entrepreneur and is typically more forgetful than I am. However, much like before, she has a strict side to her, especially when she's upset. I bet Katie is still lecturing someone at this very moment. She was so cool earlier, but also kind of terrifying. Your eyes become more focused and you show amazing concentration when playing chess. You play chess in an aggressive, relentlessly offensive manner. Well, I do often get that kind of feedback. That fluffy personality of yours comes up with moves that are unexpectedly tricky, honestly, making it difficult to play against you, said my mentor, Master Smith. But has he forgotten that I learned this particular chess strategy from none other than Master Smith? I basically learned my chess-playing technique from him. I'm excited about tomorrow, he remarked, holding out his hand. Yes, me too. I firmly shook his hand after taking it. We gave each other a firm handshake. A best-of-7 series, the Master Championship matches travel to hotels and inns across the country. Every match is 8 hours long, spread out across 2 days. Even though these are professional matches, the media, including the sponsoring newspapers, tend to ignore them. That's most likely the reason Marissa was unaware that I was a professional chess player. Master Smith, my mentor, has given me advice and recognition for having a solid sense of the game since I was little. Pete was correct. Eric, you've got good judgment. Would you like to follow me officially? Will that make me better? Yes, with your potential, you'll improve rapidly. I believe that. Pete had stated that Eric would undoubtedly emerge as John's choice. Through him, a relationship was established. Though it took me multiple tries to pass the professional tests, I made quick progress. I went to neighborhood public schools for middle and high school, and I was so focused on chess that I did poorly in both academics and athletics. I suppose I was a pretty inconspicuous student. I used to target you for bullying because you were so unimpressive back then. Erica, really? Because of how natural you are, it's possible that you were unaware of the bullying. Marissa was with me when Katie and I got back together. Hello, you pessimistic one. You're not even good at studying. You're dark. What does that have to do with? How come? You too. Eric isn't as willing to annoy you anymore. Looking back, I can say that there was a group that frequently upset me, but I didn't really notice it at the time because I was more focused on chess and Katie's support. It was most annoying that you ignored us. Marissa claims that I wasn't purposefully ignoring them. I was just not aware of them. Hey, I heard that despite being a senior, Eric hasn't made a decision about his future yet. Nearly everyone has already reserved a spot in college. Eric is simply unique, isn't he? My ambiguous career path felt out of place in high school, where the majority of students were concentrated on getting into college. Katie, listen, I finally passed a pro exam. Are you serious? That's fantastic. Eric, I know you've been working hard. Yes, and there's something else I want to tell you. In the meantime, during my final year of high school, I passed the pro exam. Although I went on to become a professional chess player, most of my classmates just knew that I dropped out of school. Given that I didn't actually inform anyone but Katie, it makes sense that they were unaware. It was also at that time that Katie and I formally began dating after my confession to her. I'm sorry. I wanted to apologize, but can we just stop this right now? I was about to play an important match. Kindly keep me out of this. I see. I'm telling you to get retrained, Marissa. Additionally, you will be suspended for a while. Be careful not to reveal your face to us. Understood. For the time being, it appeared as though Marissa had conceded, but in reality, nothing had happened. When the match's first day came to a close the following day, I was going to head back to my room. The next move should be, no, that would be counted then maybe. Eric. Marissa, who was meant to be suspended, was there when I ran into her on my route. I wanted to apologize so much. Could we go out to dinner later? I'm currently occupied. I casually replied, just leave me alone, my thoughts entirely focused on the game of chess. Master Smith is a powerful man. I have to concentrate on the game tomorrow. I had no idea that you were a competitive chess player. How important is the Master tournament? Eric, you're so awesome. I've always known that you're unique. You know, I've really liked you since we were little. I was harsh to you back then because of this. Hey, do you even think I'm speaking? Hi there. Marissa caught me thinking about chess and touched my arm. Would you please let go? Put an end to it. Katie stepped in. She moved in between Marissa and me, forcing her to release her grip on my arm. Oh, Marissa said, appearing briefly frightened by Katie's presence. She angrily snapped back, don't interfere. The one meddling is you. It's a crucial moment right now. You were meant to be on suspension, right? You weren't supposed to reveal your face, right? Are you able to comprehend that? That is unimportant. In addition, chess professionals make a lot of money, right? Are you not just after his money? Marissa's prodding appeared to have irritated Katie. Are you serious? Here, I am the proprietor. I work for my own money, Katie told Marissa in a clear-cut and forceful manner. Then give him up to me. What? Katie and I both silently conveyed our perplexity at her unintelligible remarks. Absolutely not. What even appeals to you about Eric? In what number? Numerous things. Could you enumerate them? All right. So that's, since we were young, I have been observing Eric. I'd adore every aspect of him, both positive and negative. I will always love him, regardless of whether he ends as big, bald, or impoverished in the future. Marissa seemed a little surprised by Katie's strong statement. My entire body began to warm up in the interim. Katie, though that is a little awkward, I'm still thrilled. At that moment, my face was probably beet red. Asterisk cough asterisk. It is impossible for me to consider dating anyone else because I have a significant other. All I could think of was Katie. Nobody else could possibly be on my side but her. For me, she is the only one. I will always love her and nothing else, no matter what happens in the future. Hey, you two. As I said this, I had Marissa's full attention. Stupid couple. Perfect for each other. You idiots. After saying these things, Marissa stormed off. All we could do when left alone was giggle together while our faces remained red. Shall we head to our room then? Oh yeah. Master Smith prevailed in the opening match of the master competition. It was rather annoying, to be honest, but it's not done yet. That concept caused me to change my perspective. Manager Ted came to say goodbye, saying, Mr. Wilson, I'm truly sorry for what happened at the chout. Again, he expressed his sincere regret. Marissa resigned from her job today. Oh, I only asked for her suspension, not for her to be fired. Ted said it was her own decision. That foolish couple. I will never prevail over Katie. All I want is for everything to go away. Let me resign, please, Marissa had pleaded. Listen, your management determines the employee's quality. Katie reminded Ted. As the manager, make sure you properly re-educate your staff. She smiled, a little intimidating. Yes, sir. I'll return soon to do another examination. After Katie said that, we started to head home. A very interesting trip. Thinking back on the trip, I never would have imagined getting into this much difficulty the day before the match. I laughed. To myself, it was very intense. But I also got to hear my wife speak words of love and witness. Her acting like a savvy company owner. The excursion was worthwhile. I now have to put forth my best effort and win the following match. 1 week later. Good job. Oh, I'm very grateful. I had managed to concentrate well enough to finish the master tournament. After the match with Master Smith, pay close attention. I believe I did a really good job. Tomorrow, our parents want to celebrate for you. Are you serious? I take it that there will be a sizable crowd once more. Yes, that's right. Our mothers reprimanded both of our parents for taking time off work to see the master tournament. Hey, I can see that. They must be anxiously awaiting our return at this point. Maybe. As we laughed, we both remembered our parents. How about we go on a trip after things settle down? Well, it makes sense. In fact, I had intended to return to that hotel to do an inspection. I'll adapt. To your timetable the next time because it was for me the last time. I'm grateful. By the way, I was overjoyed by your loving remarks at the time. Well, give up. The things you said at the moment made me pleased as well. Again, we both flushed. We just can't get used to this, even after spending so much time together. How frightening the owner and her father both are is truly unsettling. Was Pete a terrifying person as well. Jess, I have been a guest at this hotel since the days of her father. Although quite rigid about business, he was also incredibly nice. At that moment, I noticed a hint of her father in her. Similar to Pete, that's how you also get during chess games. It's something I hear a lot. In any case, Pete is like a second father to me. Is that so? Eric, what are you talking about with Ted? Just discussing things about you and Pete. I see. It seems Marissa had a difficult time getting out of that hotel, by the way. The stories had gotten around, so she was unable to get work at other hotels. Furthermore, she made approaches to a number of guys who appeared to have steady jobs, but she was rejected each time and eventually fell for a shady man's scam, which left her in debt. She now has to balance a hectic life with duties she used to despise, like construction and cleaning. After some time, I had learned of Marissa's predicament from a former classmate. She eventually asked for assistance from her former classmates before vanishing from view. Katie, please stay with me forever. Obviously, we will always be together, even when we grow old together. We shook hands and vowed to work together in the future. After a few years, 2 children were born into our family. Since he was a little child, our son has dedicated himself to his studies with the goal of replacing Katie. Our daughter, on the other hand, is a chess enthusiast who says she wants to learn the game and compete against me. And Master Smith is training her very fervently, too, with the hope that she will outdo me. Katie and I exchanged a smile as we watched them. You've given me a lot of support. I'm grateful, Katie. Really. Erica, I should be the one saying thanks. I was inspired to work hard after witnessing your hard effort. I'm so happy you're here. Me too. It's a tremendous pleasure to have you. I have loved you in the past. I love you now. And I always will. Me too. Mom and Dad are being lovey-dovey again. Red in the face, we were both mocked by our kids. I'm sure you two will meet someone you want to spend the rest of your lives with. Stay close. And lend each other support. All right. I wish to stay in close proximity to my beloved Katie. Naturally, in addition to our kids.
All right, everyone's presentations are done. Nick, the manager, said as he tried to move the discussion forward. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me and began to speak. There's apparently someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. His lackey, Mike, of course, agreed with Nick. I'm leaving. After leaving the meeting room, I started to shut down my computer. I noticed that an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking, there's no point in speaking up, no one will listen, I went home quietly. The next day, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. He was staring at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick? Is something wrong? Mike looked at the screen with him. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Knowing the reason for Mike's distress, I thought to myself, serves them right. My name is Adam. My mother passed away when I was in the 9th grade, and I was raised by my father. Well, you could hardly call it being raised. After my mother passed, my father changed. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol, and though he still went to work, he squandered our living expenses on horse racing. Because of that, I had to start working part-time as soon as I entered high school. Every month, I went to the convenience store with bills in hand that couldn't be auto-deducted from my father's account. Even though I endured it because I didn't want to be alone, I reached my limit in my 2nd year of high school and dropped out. I found a live-in job at a distant inn. Thank you for everything. The day I left home, my father, still staring at the TV, spoke. Take care. That was our last conversation. Back then, 18 wasn't the age of majority, so I needed my father's permission to work, and I couldn't hide my place of employment. Yet, my father never visited me even once. I kept working just to survive, and before I knew it, I was 42. Years of hard work paid off, and I was transferred to the headquarters. I was thrilled to be recognized by the company, as I thought I'd be working in the field until retirement due to my lack of formal education. Listen up. Our work can change the future of our employees. Don't drag us down. On my first day after the transfer, Nick, dressed in an expensive suit, spoke sternly. There was a reason for this. Our inn was located in a prominent tourist destination, known so well that everyone in the state could sing its commercial jingle. At its peak, we had 5 locations within the state. But that was long ago. Due to financial difficulties and aging facilities, only the place where I had worked for many years and the original establishment remained. I was prepared to lose my job anytime, but now there was a glimmer of hope. With the rise of social media, the tourist area where the inn was located started gaining attention again. Depending on how hard the sales department, where I was transferred, worked, we could either thrive or be forced to give up this prime location to the new hotel chains continuously popping up. For Nick, who had switched careers from another industry to strengthen our sales, this was a battle he couldn't afford to lose. I understood why he had to be strict. I will do my best. Nick sneered at my enthusiastic declaration. Did you not hear what I said? I'm sorry. I thought I was listening carefully. Out of habit from years of customer service, I apologized reflexively, though I had no idea what had offended him. Someone was watching me with a smirk. In this department, there are those who are expected to excel and those who have been shoved here because they have nowhere else to go. You are the latter. It was Mike, the section chief. He's 7 years younger, at 35. But he was called to headquarters much earlier than I was and had been moving around within the headquarters ever since. I'm not jealous, but I can't accept that he's my boss. Graduating from a prestigious university, he has an unusually high pride and caused many problems as a newbie, making things very difficult for me when I was the front desk leader. When I found out Mike was transferred to the sales department a month before me, I was disheartened. Mike is right. With just a middle school diploma, there's not much you can do. Don't even think about achieving results. As if I didn't exist, Nick remarked, I'm thirsty. Mike eagerly ran to the coffee maker. It seems Mike is Nick's lackey. I regretted being happy about my transfer to headquarters, wishing I had stayed on site forever. Send a direct mail to every company on this list by the end of the day. Nick only assigned me tasks that even a new graduate could handle. What? There are over 1,000 companies. You want me to send to all of them by today? Yes, if you and your fellow misfits split the work, even those with nowhere else to go should finish by today. I glanced at the employees typing away expressionlessly. They were worn out from customer service, only thinking about leaving on time, or were women reassigned after having children, with zero motivation for work. Even Sam, a new graduate from the same university as Mike, who was supposed to be among the expected achievers, had no enthusiasm for the job, having joined the company wanting to do customer service. I don't care what they say, I plan to quit anytime, he said. Only Nick and Mike were highly motivated, making all the decisions between the two of them. I originally only wanted to work at the inn to survive and had no particular attachment to this job. I swallowed my words, thinking I had no right to reprimand them. About a month after the transfer, Nick told us with a frustrated look. To commemorate the 50th anniversary, we've decided to create a plan exclusive for one group per day. Originally, Mike and I were supposed to come up with it, but our president, Mr. Thompson, insists on hearing everyone's opinions. So, you all get a chance. As Nick explained, Mike began handing out prints. Make sure not to embarrass Nick. If your ideas are half-baked, you'll have to redo them. It seemed that they had printed his handwritten notes by Mr. Thompson, which included several questions and a section for free responses. It made sense why Nick had to seek our input, given that all responses had to be submitted to Mr. Thompson. We were given a week to think about it, and a meeting was scheduled to compile our ideas. My plan is to let guests enjoy both the old and modern America. Nick began the presentations. Guests would watch a master confectioner at a nearby traditional sweet shop make sweets in front of them. The welcome drink would be premium tea in a bottle. Nick's plan was certainly attractive. After his presentation, Nick called on us to present in the order we were seated. Just as I stood up for my turn. All right, everyone's presentations are done. Excuse me, I haven't. I recently found out something. Nick interrupted me. There's someone in this department who didn't graduate high school and is just a part-timer. He was likely talking about me. I joined the company as a part-timer and was made a full-time employee when I turned 20. That was 20 years ago, so Nick and Mike probably had no chance to know until recently. Meetings should be for employees only. Absolutely right. After that, Nick kept creating opportunities to solicit everyone's opinions, purposefully excluding me from speaking. The meeting unexpectedly heated up and went past the scheduled end time. A few people asked to leave, and the discussion continued with the remaining few. Still here? Normally, you'd leave in that situation. Though I had no attachment to the job initially, hearing kind words from customers made me want to make them happier. For someone like me, with nowhere to go, the inn was my home and customer service was my life. I felt pathetic about my current self. I'm leaving. I left the conference room and started shutting down my computer. I noticed an email had arrived, not in my personal inbox, but in the company's shared email. Thinking no one would listen to what I had to say anyway, I quietly went home. The next day, while preparing the DM as instructed, I heard a commotion from Nick's desk. In his haste to stand up, he hit his knee on the desk. He stared at his computer screen, his face pale. Nick! What's wrong? Mike, thinking he should be the first to rush over, approached Nick while still wearing his coat. He peered at the screen with Nick. And he turned even paler than Nick. Why is he so angry? Who is responsible for this company? Nick, more irritated than ever, asked, and Mike answered without checking. Probably Sam. Sam wasn't there because he was attending a morning training session for new hires. Nick gave up on getting angry and returned his gaze to the screen. They were looking at an email that arrived right after the end of the working day yesterday. Apparently, no one, including me, had checked it before leaving. The email was from a large company that used us for their annual employee trips. The president and executives of that company also frequently used our services personally. President of the company, Mr. Mason himself had declared that neither he nor his company would ever use our services again. Well, some companies cancel their employee trips or stop using our services due to financial struggles. Let's just move on. Mike kept wiping the sweat from his forehead with a handkerchief. Knowing why Mike was so agitated, I quietly watched their interaction. Do you know how much revenue we get from that company? We can find other guests to fill the rooms, but we'll lose the banquet costs, gift shop revenue, rental car fees, and more. Moreover, the gifts were supposed to be prepared by the traditional confectionery shop involved in Nick's proposed plan. If it's known that we incurred such a huge loss at this critical time, Nick's position in the company would be jeopardized. Nick took a deep breath, seemingly trying to calm himself. All right, Mike. Go to New York right now and apologize to Mr. Mason. What? You're coming with me, right? I have urgent work to do. I trust you, which is why I'm entrusting this to you. Please. Mike, believing Nick's sincerity, agreed with a determined look on his face, saying, yes. That's Nick for you. Even if Mike went to apologize, Nick would shift all the blame onto him if the client didn't change their mind. Well, it was Mike's fault to begin with, so it served him right. About 3 hours later, Sam answered a call from somewhere and repeatedly apologized, saying, I'm very sorry. Everyone watched to see what was happening. After ending the call, he informed Nick with a weary tone. When Mike arrived at the client's company, he only made things worse, further infuriating Mr. Mason. He was demanding, get his boss here immediately. It was no wonder Sam was exhausted, dealing with such a call right after returning from training. What is that idiot doing? All right, Adam, you're coming with me. If sacrificing Mike didn't work, then I must be next. Normally, I'd want to refuse at all costs, but I saw an opportunity in this situation. If I can be of assistance, I'd be happy to join you. I obediently followed Nick, and we flew to New York. When we introduced ourselves at the reception, it became clear how serious the situation was, as the receptionist personally escorted us to the president's office. Angry voices leaked through the door, making both Nick and me uneasy. "Excuse me. I'm Nick, the supervisor. I understand my subordinate has caused you trouble, and I deeply apologize." Nick, with his experience in the corporate world, knew enough to offer an apology before excuses. However, his customer service skills left much to be desired. I sighed as I saw Mike trembling like a small dog in the corner of the room. "What kind of training are you giving your subordinates?" Mr. Mason glared at Nick with a red face. The intensity of his gaze made even Nick take a step back. Regrettably, I joined this company only 2 years ago and was unaware of Mike's issues. I should have identified his shortcomings sooner. Indeed, I should have realized sooner. No sensible person would come to apologize and then give a lengthy presentation on the drawbacks of not using their in. Nick froze, his mouth slightly open. Suspecting the worst, I picked up the documents that had fallen to the floor. It seemed Mike hastily prepared these documents on the plane, listing the disadvantages. Disadvantage 1: if you change the venue for the company trip, employees might suspect it's for cost-cutting reasons, leading to a negative impression. Reading it aloud half-jokingly, Nick snatched the papers from my hand and checked the contents with a furious expression. Among the stack of documents was a receipt from a nearby convenience store's copy machine. I felt a pang of dread, hoping he hadn't shown the receipt as well. What do you think he said when I asked what kind of nerve he had to do this? I'm very sorry." Faced with the dire situation, Nick must have thought there was nothing left to do but apologize. In a voice smaller than I'd ever heard from him, he uttered words of apology. He said, "I'm a Harvard graduate. I don't believe I said anything wrong." "Mike, what have you done?" Forgetting his plan to pin the blame on Mike, Nick yelled loudly, even in front of Mr. Mason. "I didn't do anything wrong." "You're still saying that? Look at him." Mike pointed at me with a shaking hand. "I was assigned to headquarters in my 20s and now I'm a section chief. This guy only made it to headquarters at 42. Everything I've done proves I was right. So why are we losing the contract?" Having said his piece, Mike collapsed to the floor. "Of course. You were sent there because you had nowhere else to go." Mike never expected to hear such words from someone he looked down upon. He lunged at me, and Nick hurriedly stepped in to stop him. "Mr. Thompson told me Mike is a quick thinker, and to take good care of him." There's no way he was pushed aside. "Don't make things worse here." "He didn't say quick thinker, he said only quick-witted, didn't he?" I don't remember that part." I recalled the many troubles Mike caused when he was a newbie. When Mike was on the front line, his pride was so high that he never apologized to customers. Customer service, especially in our job, doesn't work alone. It brings both good and bad situations. If the front staff or housekeepers made mistakes, or the cleaning company didn't properly clean a room, one had to apologize to the customers regardless of personal fault. Mike, in such situations, would never apologize, insisting he wasn't at fault. This often angered customers, and as the front desk leader, I frequently had to apologize on his behalf. He caused complaints and disrupted operations, which is why he was quickly moved to headquarters. In departments where he didn't interact directly with customers, his quick thinking was beneficial and things went well. But it seemed his flaws were starting to show. Corporate reservations are supposed to be entered into the system by the sales representative. But a quick check yesterday revealed that more than 10 items were missing from the client's reservation. The handover document clearly stated what needed to be prepared. Why didn't you enter it into the system? Why do we have to give them special treatment? Filling rooms near the banquet hall, setting up all the food in advance. Specifying the brand of wine, they're too demanding. No wonder he always angered customers, I thought, feeling a headache coming on. Grouping them in rooms near the banquet hall is for our benefit too. It makes it easier for the staff to set up beds and serve breakfast since everyone's schedule is synchronized. As for the other requests, Mr. Mason suggested them to lighten our load. I didn't know that. Nick finally seemed to realize that Mike was the one who had angered the client. What did you say to them? I just told them we wouldn't give them special treatment anymore. We shouldn't waste effort on things that don't bring in money. I was utterly exasperated at his lack of understanding of customer service. Of course, we shouldn't comply with unreasonable demands. But carrying over successful practices from past stays makes customers feel remembered and enhances their experience. Good memories encourage repeat visits. That's part of our job. I looked down at Mike, who was sitting on the floor. In our job, nothing is a waste. Mr. Thompson likely moved you to the sales department, hoping you'd finally understand this. How do you think he feels now that you've failed to meet his expectations? Mike, tears in his eyes, fled the president's office. I was amazed he still hadn't apologized. You have it tough, Adam. It's okay, we're all employees of the same company. I deeply apologize for this disrespectful incident. Especially after all the care you've shown us. If it weren't for you, Adam, I really would have stopped staying here. When I heard you were moving to the sales department, I was willing to reconsider if you handled it. Seeing us talk so amicably, Nick's face contorted. Do you two know each other? Adam's service is excellent. I always requested him specifically. Normally, we don't accept specific staff requests, but we made an exception for Mr. Mason, adjusting my shifts accordingly. He had personally stayed at our hotel just before my transfer, and during casual conversation, I mentioned, I'm moving to the sales department soon. If I hadn't told him then, things could have been much worse. Please continue to take care of us. I look forward to it. On the return flight, Nick awkwardly offered me a can of beer. It's still working hours. Of course, I had no intention of forgiving him for a single beer. Nick might try to pin everything on Mike and avoid any consequences. While pondering this, a startling fact came to light. Nick, the tea bottles for the plan have arrived. I handed Nick a bottle labeled with our inn's name. They look good. What are you talking about? These are plastic bottles. I had assumed we would use the trendy, high-end bottling tea. But what arrived were ordinary plastic bottles of tea with customized labels. The only unique aspect was the label, which had the inn's name, making it look customized. Upon further investigation, I discovered that a substantial amount of money was set to be paid to the tea company. It was priced like bottling tea. Does this plastic bottle really cost $100 each? The tea inside is specially blended for us. The extra cost is for that. Wouldn't it be better to use another tea company? Or is there a specific reason we must use this one? As Nick continued to make excuses, I showed him a printed email. I informed the tea company's president, Mr. Mitchell, that we discovered irregular payments and he confessed. He said you two were high school classmates and planned to split the extra money. That idiot. Why did he confess? That's not important. You should worry about yourself, this could turn into a police matter. Opening the bottle cap, I suggested. How about calming down with this tea? It supposedly has a relaxing effect. Nick drank the tea frantically. In the following days, decisions were made about their fates. Mike was reassigned to the General Affairs Department, with no chance of transfer or promotion, as per Mr. Thompson's orders. As for Nick, since the payment to the tea company hadn't yet been made, he narrowly avoided legal trouble. Instead, he was encouraged to leave the company, and to avoid further complications, Nick submitted his resignation. Rumor has it that connections between HR departments have made it difficult for him to find new employment. Even though it was good to have those two gone, something unexpected happened in the sales department. Everyone became motivated and united in refining the 50th anniversary plan. In the end, my plan was adopted. We collaborated with the Tourist Information Center to provide personalized guides. The plan, tailored to the number of guests, was truly special for the 50th anniversary. Hey, is Adam's family coming to stay? I immediately booked that special plan for my family. Sam noticed it on the reservation list and quickly picked up on it. Yes, I'm inviting my father. That's great. I might invite my parents too. I lacked the courage to face my father just as Adam. But here, with the confidence Mr. Mason praised, I felt ready. The 50th anniversary plan was a perfect opportunity to reconnect with my father. I hoped to bring back the days when we could laugh together as we once did.